wants to be king!
I was sitting around working in my shop this morning, and I'd started a project that started to give me the blues. One of the reasons why I haven't been making a whole lot of content here on this channel is because I've immersed myself in doing leather work, and the first couple of projects that I've done have been relatively easy. And then I ran into a hurdle where a repetitive project, it didn't come out the way that I expected it to. And after several attempts of fixing it, I came really close to throwing it in the trash and starting all over again. And before I did that, I decided to step away, take a breath, and get away from it for a little while and go do something else. And I just a little while ago, I finished messing with it again, doing a little bit of retooling and trying to make modifications to make it to where it's a salvageable piece. And it's ended up being, it's going to probably be one of the better pieces that I've done so far. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because a lot of times I tell you guys to find something that you're passionate about, put your heart into it, and just put in the time, do the thing, and eventually you'll get good at it. But in this experience, I learned a little bit, something about myself, a chink that was in my armor, and something that I've always known that I needed to work on, but it was a success walking away, coming back and attacking the program again, trying to get this thing done instead of tapping out. I think a lot of us, whenever we set out to do something, we want it to be easy. We want it to be easy. We want to be good at it right away. And that seems like a good idea. It seems like that's the best course of action. But what I've learned in life, a lot of times the way that it works is you'll get some initial success. And what the initial success is it's awakening your passion. And you might knock it out of the park a couple of times. It doesn't matter what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You may feel like you're a natural at this thing, and once you start to immerse yourself into it, you realize that you're not as good as you thought you were. Your initial success may have been luck. What I've noticed in my own life, most of the time when I run up against resistance like that, things that are side hobbies, things that aren't really important, those things, whenever I come to the point where I have to actually think to solve a problem, learn something that I don't know, more often than not, what I've done is just put the project off to the side and then immerse myself in something new. That is an obsessive compulsive ADD. It's a whole bunch of psychological things. But there was an underlying fear, I think, in finding out that I wasn't as good as I wanted to be. And so to walk away from a project and, immerse myself in something new, at the moment it felt like I was doing something productive. But as I came back to this leather project, I realized that what it was I didn't want the resistance of not being good at it. I think men, a lot of times we expect ourselves to be better than what we are. And I know for certain that most people have an overvalued estimation of who they are and what they're capable of doing. The whole purpose of this rant is to encourage you guys to do this. If you find something in your life, something that you've done, it could be something as simple as maintaining your physicality, getting yourself in shape, not being a fat, sloppy, worthless piece of shit. It could be something that simple. Or it could be learning how to play the guitar, learning how to build something, no matter what it is. If there's things in your life that you have a passion for, but you don't have the conviction to dive in the fire and take the losses, to mess some things up, you have to go back, revisit those things and face that fire. We're entering into a space where things that we've taken for granted, we're gonna have to be able to do. And a lot of people put value in money. Our currency, this paper that we give each other, really has no value that other than the value that we agree upon. Well, the rest of the world is no longer agreeing upon the value of our currency in America, and our own leaders are doing everything that they can to further devalue and eliminate that currency. So even if you've got millions of dollars stashed somewhere in the bank, if it's worthless, then your ability to do things, your ability to finish things, your ability to complete projects, tasks, and figure things out is going to be more valuable than this paper that people will have an abundance of, but it will have no true worth. You won't be able to get anything for it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just go revisit what happened to Germany, the Weimar Republic, and how those people's money was debased to the point where you could take a wheelbarrow of it to a grocery store and you couldn't even afford a loaf of bread. That's what inflation does. That's what deflation does. That's what happens when the pullers of the strings decide to wreck an economy, and we are in the targets now. And so right now, I think it is of the most importance of ever for you to find the thing that you have passion for. And if you've put it down, go pick those tools back up. Pick them back up, go in and suffer the learning curve, because at the end of the road, you'll figure out that problem. You'll overcome that obstacle that made you put it away in the first place, and you'll be able to continue down that journey. Because this is what I figured out about the way God works. When you say you want something, He'll let you get a taste of success. But if you really want it, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So with that said, I want you guys to check out this. This is the speech that I did at 21 convention. This was overcoming one of my fears, and that was public speaking. This, you can tell why in this, but I think that in this speech, if you haven't heard it, this is the basis of my program. This is what I base my philosophy on. This is what I think that all men need to address, the 4 pillars of masculinity. So check out this video. And those of you who have asked how you can support the channel, how you can support the mission, check out my store, my Etsy store. I've got a leather journal, a warrior's journal. Every one of us needs to document and keep track of the things that we want to do and have a list of things that need to be done. This warrior journal makes that not only easy to do, but it's completely badass. So check that out. I'll talk to you guys next time. Out.
Boom. Welcome back to the 21 Convention 2022 of Orlando, Florida, being held over the 16-year anniversary of 21 Studios and 21 Convention live events. Being held also as well in the larger Super Duper 21 Summit event, triple event, with Patriarch and 22 conventions going on as well. Our next speaker is a first-time speaker to the 21 Convention. He spoke for his first time at 21 Summit at the Patriarch Convention just the other day. It's kind of his second time speaking for us. I'm really excited to have him at our event. I found him on YouTube, I think earlier in the year, and I kind of, no homo, fell in love right away. This guy was a savage. This guy was intense. This guy was cutthroat in his approach to what he was saying, and his tenacity to go after frauds and expose retards in the manosphere. And I love that. I wish more men had the balls and the boldness that this guy has. He's also a Texas patriarch, married, father, husband, out in Texas, and he has this huge, 40-acre ranch called the Gladiator Farm, where he trains men how to be better men. Ultimately, though, he's fighting against, in America and in our culture, against the vaginization, the vaginization of men, boys, and fathers. He wants men to be masculine, and he's doing a great job of that on his channel. So without further ado, I'm proud to announce Paul Caldwell to the 21 Convention stage. Thanks, Paul. Yes, sir.
It's 5 a.m. in the morning. It's that fucking alarm. Bob set his alarm to this annoying ringtone, thinking it would be funny. As he fumbles around the nightstand trying to find the source of this noise, he thinks to himself, I've got to change that thing. I've got to change, that's an annoying ringtone. But he said that to himself at least 1,000,000 times now. Once his hand locates the familiar thin rectangle, his fingers go into autopilot, hitting whatever button makes a hideous sound go away. He starts to think to himself, I hate my job. I hate my life. Dreading the day ahead of him, he gets up excuse me. We'll go freestyle.
Talk, brother. Talk to us.
Instead of reading from that, I'm just gonna go straight from this. I can't see, I didn't bring my glasses. What I wanna talk to you guys today about is discipline or regret. This is the first intro, it's the intro to a book that I'm writing. And in this story, this guy goes through his day the same way over and over again. His alarm goes off, the alarm annoys him. He means to reset it to something more suitable, but he doesn't do it. He gets up, goes through his day, and he squeezes every minute he can to stay in his bed. Gets in his car, goes down the road. 30-minute commute normally takes 40 minutes. 30-mile commute normally takes him about 40 minutes to get there, but this morning he's flying. There's nobody on the highway. So he thinks to himself, man, I'm gonna stop by that 7-Eleven and get a coffee. Maybe that hot chick's there. In the back of his mind, he's thinking, maybe I'll have the nuts to say something to her this time. But he walks in, sees the girl, she smiles at him. He turns into a little boy. Meekishly says hello, goes and gets his coffee. On his way to work, he noticed that the gas light was on. On his way home the previous night, he meant to put gas in his car, but he just didn't feel like doing it. I'll do it in the morning. Get up early and I'll do it in the morning. Now he's on his way to work, light's still on. He gets back in his car, goes on to his way, light's still on. Gets on the freeway and it's bottlenecked. It's bottlenecked, and not only that, gas runs out of his car. And he's thinking, shit, man, my boss has been telling me for months, one more time, dude, and you're out of here. But never follows up on the threat. So it comes to his mind, it goes away, and he's like, you know, it'll be all right. But he doesn't have a gas can. And he realizes that he forgot his cell phone on his desk in his haste running out the door. So when he finally gets to work, the girl that's at the desk, normally very cordial, she has fear in her eyes. They normally kick it, and she gets bubbly when he comes in, but this day, there's a morbid look on her face. She tells him they're waiting for you in the conference room. So he goes in and he sees everybody is sitting at this table that he doesn't want to see sitting at one table. All the managers and the head of the human resources department with a stack of papers. His boss asks him, do you know what we're here for? He's like, man, look, I'm sorry. And his boss says, just shut the fuck up. I'm tired of listening to you talk. And from that point, all he hears is a dull buzz because he knows exactly what's about to happen. He's done. He's done. He's losing his job. He's losing everything. And so when he gets back in his car, he stops and he's thinking, man, I'm screwed. This guy's been living above his means. He's maxed out his credit cards. He's worked so hard to impress dudes that don't even know he's alive, don't even know he exists. He's running this race against somebody who's not even paying attention to him. And now he has nothing. So he drives home, walks into his overpriced condo, and realizes, I'm losing everything. So he goes to his $7,000 Italian leather chair and sits down. But today it doesn't greet him like a king like it always does. The leather's cold, it's mocking, because it's no longer his. He sits and he thinks to himself, I'm a fucking loser, man. I did this. He sees no way out. So he reaches over to his $3,000 end table with marble that comes from some exotic place. And all the time he's looking through his house saying, I shouldn't have bought that. Shouldn't have bought that. Damn, man, if I had the money, I paid for that. Because he's gonna need all of that money because his ass is going on the streets. So he reaches into that end table, pulls out a .45 caliber weapon that he bought, custom made. Paid 3 times as much as he should have for the pistol. Puts it in his mouth. Tear drops down his face. He starts to squeeze the trigger. Then he hears, it's the alarm. It was a fucking dream. He jumps up, goes after his life. He starts to attack it. Now that's an extreme, that's a very extreme example of how people might deal with stuff, but that's a reality that we deal with. And when you take a story like that, you take anyone's life, you can break it down into two lanes. Either they're building with discipline or they're destroying and they're gonna live their life in regret. You're building or you're destroying. You have discipline or you have regret. Now I believe there's 4 basic pillars that make up what a man is supposed to be, that holds up the kingdom of your manhood. That's your physicality, number 1. You have to be healthy. And when you look at the things that you do to address your physicality, you either live with discipline, eating the correct foods, training correctly, and respecting yourself, or you will inevitably suffer from the regret of having a diagnosis that could have been prevented by any of those steps before. And so many times people, especially in my line of work, they come and they try to tell me all the reasons why what we're trying to do isn't gonna work, or why it's not gonna work for them. They have all these beautiful lies that they've written on paper and say, you know, did this and I did this and I did this. But if you really got to see the truth of what they were doing, they didn't do the things that they needed to do. They did the things that they were willing to do. And that doesn't require discipline. Discipline isn't doing the things that you want to do physically, because I don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day so I can go train at 5. I don't want to do that. I don't get stoked about that every day. And the men that train with me, they're not excited about it. As a matter of fact, when we get there, the first 5 minutes of our warm-up is explaining to one another about how bad we didn't want to be here today. And man, I almost hit that snooze button. But we're there. We go. Why? Because the result of not going is going to make us feel the way we don't want to feel, look a way we don't want to look, and be someone we don't want to be. And so when you look at your physicality, you're going to either take care of yourself with discipline, or you will regret not doing that. Guaranteed. It might be because you're fat and everybody's pointing at you, or it might be because you're dying and you could have done something about it. The second one, and it could have been number 1, but without life, without your physicality, without all of those things, then your spirituality wouldn't really matter a whole lot. But the spirituality, I believe, is a very pivotal thing for men to approach with discipline. Because the things that we're supposed to do, the moral code that we're supposed to follow in taking care of our spirituality, no matter whatever religion that you choose, to me, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's one of peace. There's disciplines that you have to adhere to. The 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments would solve all of our problems if the whole world just followed those 10 simple rules, those 10 simple precepts of how humans are supposed to roll. It takes discipline. It takes discipline to not break those commandments, especially in the culture that we live in today, that tells you that whatever lust, desire, or wants you have, go for it. You deserve it. So it takes discipline. But just like with your physicality, if you're not disciplined in your faith, then you will face attacks that are either meant to guide you back to where you're supposed to be or to destroy you. It just depends on if God still has your back. But we're foolish to think that we can beat the realm of spirituality, that we can avoid being tested. He allowed the devil to test Job, a dude that for all intents and purposes was without fault. And so if he'll let Job be tested, if Jesus can be tested, what makes us think that we're not going to be tested? We're nowhere near the men that those men were. So with your spirituality, You've got to be disciplined. When you see that hot girl, the Bible says, if your eyes sin, you sin. You think about doing something, you've done it. It takes discipline. It takes discipline to be a man to avert your eyes from that beautiful thing. But just like discipline keeps you on the right path, a lack of discipline will lead you to hell. The third one is your professional world. Like old Bob in the story, he took everything for granted. Everything was whatever he wanted it to be. He was full of shit. Now, I have to be honest, when I had a regular job, I was just like that dude. If I didn't feel like going to work, I didn't go to work. I'd call in and do something. Never got fired like that. But I know so many people who live that way, and then they complain and bitch that they don't have what they want, what they think they deserve. Or they go to work and they just half-ass it. They do what needs to be done, what they have to do. They're quick to say, that's not my job. But even the job that they have, they just do the bare minimum. They don't approach it with tenacity. There's no discipline in doing the very best job. Even if they're a trash collector, you should do the best job you can. But to do that takes discipline. You have to take pride in what you're doing. And you have to be disciplined to always show up. But if you don't approach it like that, you'll end up losing. You'll end up losing your job, your business, whatever it is that you're not disciplined, that you're not following the path, the guidelines that you should have set for yourself. And the fourth one, and it's probably one of the biggest ones in the hearts of men who come to these conventions, who find themselves in the manosphere, especially if you deal with any of the red pill shit. It's personal. It's your personal relationships. So the relationship you have with your family, the relationship you have with your significant other, your personal relationships, your personal life, the things that you enjoy, the things that you hold dear. You can't take those things for granted either. I want to tell you what really taught me to look at that. In 2017, my brother got in some pretty big trouble. He got busted with 550 pounds of weed. And he thought he was going to get away with it because he had a lot of money. Well, his lawyer told him, this time you're not going to go home. And so my brother was busted up about that. He thought his money was going to be enough to keep him from going back to prison. And in fact, he was going to probably serve 10 years minimum for what he did. Well, my baby brother and he had a falling out over money that my little brother neither deserved nor earned at all, just entitled. He thought because we had, he should have. And so they didn't talk. They didn't talk for a long, long time. About 2 weeks before my brother passed away, my baby brother and he got into a long text argument. My baby brother told him, I hate you. I'm not your brother anymore. Like he was 6. Well, my brother passed away, and now my baby brother will never, ever, ever live that down. He wasn't disciplined enough emotionally to let that dumb shit go. He wasn't disciplined enough as a man to realize that life and your relationships, your personal relationships with those who love you and that you're supposed to love, those things require work, discipline. Those 4 pillars of a manhood structure are pivotal. And I guarantee everybody sitting in this room, if you put those things in 4 columns and wrote down the things that you're not doing, it's disheartening. It's very disheartening. Because a lot of times we think we're crushing it. We think we're doing good because we did better than maybe we did yesterday. but we know we're not doing the things that are gonna push us forward. I get so many guys that come into my program that want me to show them, tell them what to do. And that's ridiculous. One of the things that bothers me the most about some of the people that are in this space, in the manosphere space, not here, is that they take advantage of those guys. These lost men who are looking for answers, who are looking for guidance. And instead of telling them, no, what you're thinking, what you're believing is wrong. You need to check yourself. And you need to find out where you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Jocko Willink talks about extreme ownership. And I think that goes along that lines. Your life is your life. It's your responsibility. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody can tell you what you need to do to make your life what it needs to be. I have a program called 90 Days of Suck. And I wrote a book, it's in a book. And I offered it to the people on my page. And the response that I got was really cool. But I did it I gave it away free. And I did it for a reason. This program doesn't tell you what to do. There's a lot of programs that tell you what to do. The 75 Hard program tells you to do work out twice a day, once outside, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a book, and you do that every day and take a selfie, put it online. Anybody can do that. And that's discipline. It takes discipline to do that every day. It takes discipline to show up, do that. It's hard. It's hard to do all of that stuff every day. But it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint saying do these things and boom, it's magic. Now, it does work. If you have no discipline and you take on that program and you see it through for 75 days, you will have discipline. But those things may not be what you need to be disciplined in. Maybe you already work out. Maybe you already drink water. Maybe those things, maybe you were just adding things to what you already do. Because most of the time, when people are able to comply with a program like that with no oversight, it's because the things that they're being asked to do are relatively easy. What I'm asking you to do is take those 4 pillars and look at the foundation of them. Look at the foundation of your physical life. Are you healthy? Or are you sick? Are you building or are you destroying? Do you have discipline or do you regret not doing what you're supposed to do every day? What I encourage people to do is take those pillars, take those things and write down all of the things that they could do that would make that pillar stronger, give it a better foundational strength. Write it down. Write down your personal, your spiritual, your professional. What are you not doing? See, so many people want a program telling them, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How do I do this? I think people would be better served to look at what they need to stop doing. What you do every day becomes monotonous. Unless you're actively trying to move the needle forward, what you're gonna do every day is gonna be pretty much a carbon copy of what you did the day before. Now, if you do it and it's something that you can check all your boxes and you feel like you have discipline because you do these things, I would ask you, is it moving the needle forward? Is it moving your life in the direction that you want it to go? So I've never had a problem with discipline. But my problem was the things that I was disciplined at were bad. I was real good at doing bad stuff consistently. And that led me to a place in life that I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be the person I didn't want to be myself. And so when we're going through this struggle that we're going through in life as men, one of the most fundamental things that I found that you have to do
is you have to surround yourself with people who will hold you to task. You've got to surround yourself with people that will be honest with you and tell you the way that they really feel about what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're saying, who it is that you are. We talked last night in depth about the necessity of men gathering around campfires and being men. In my program at my house, back home in Texas, it's not even a program in this sense, it's just what we do. It's just what we do. We get around the fire and we just allow ourselves to be men. Whatever needs to be addressed, whatever needs to be talked about, whatever worries anybody has, we let it go. We let it go weapons hot. No judgment, unless it needs to be judged. That has kept the pistol out of more than a few men's mouths. The way that I entered this space, the way that I came to this space, the way that I came to learn that the voice that I had maybe resonated is another incident that happened. When I moved to my property, my wife had a coworker that was a Marine. And she told me he could really use your help. I was like, what do I have to offer this dude? She said, I just think you'd really be good for him. Whatever. Bring him on. So she brings this guy, Spencer. And Spencer was a broken man, abusive father, mother there but absent, alcohol, drugs, all that good stuff. And Spencer was a broken man. And so he came out, we hung out, we had a lot of fun, it was cool. And he told me, you know what? I think my roommate would really benefit being able to talk to you. Like, oh shit, here we go, man. Bring him on. So the following week, two guys, two Marines, two badass dudes. One of them, the other guy, Derek, was a MARSOC Marine. The MARSOC guys are top tier, badasses. Marines by themselves are badasses. These dudes are different. And so we get together, we hang out, drink a whole bunch of whiskey, and the conversation is typical man stuff. It's pretty cool, but it's just the same thing, talking about our past. But Derek's life was a little bit different than mine and Spencer's. Way worse. See, Derek's dad was a military man. He was a Marine as well. His mother was a severe drug addict. She had depression really bad. And so Derek was always trying to look after his mother while his father was gone. And one day he came home and found his mother with her head pretty much painted on the wall. And that broke him. It broke him to the point where he went on a path in his life. He joined the Marines, and the guy could have went and played soccer. He could have played football. He's a specimen of a man. He had all of these scholarship offers, and after his mother killed himself, he decided he wanted to go kill some people. And so he became a Marine and did his job exceptionally well. I don't know if anybody knows what challenge coins are, but in special forces and some of the more black operations, they can't give these guys accommodations. They can't give them medals. And so what they do is they give them challenge coins. And so you do an operation, instead of them giving you a medal or a trophy, they give you a challenge coin. And they trade them and collect them and all that. If you have a couple of them, that means you did some cool shit. Well, I was helping Derek move, and he had these Nike boxes. And I grabbed, it was size 12 Nike box, and I grabbed it thinking it was shoes, and it was heavy. The box broke, and all these cool little coins fell out. Didn't know what the hell they were. And he explained to them, I looked at them, they were, from SOCOM, Africa, and all, they were, the Punisher skull, all this cool stuff. And not knowing what I was looking at, I'm just like, these are really cool military trinkets. When I came to learn what they were, I realized this dude was a fucking monster. He's the dude, he's one of the guys that you can drop off in a country and he'll change the whole government. That's the training he had. And I'm telling you that because I want you to understand the power of one's mind and how painful the past and how painful it can be in the present and how destructive it can be. So this man who has gone through all of these high-level black operations successfully, he's at my house for some reason, we're talking, and I don't understand what Spencer was telling me that he could benefit from us speaking from. So we're talking and it's all normal shit. And then we take one too many drinks of the whiskey and then he starts telling the truth. And what happened to his mother and all of the things that he experienced in reaction to that in the military left this guy in a place that was dark. It was extremely dark. And he didn't tell me that. I listened to what he was saying. I listened to the words he was saying, and this man who had the balls to be locked in a box like this for 3 days, man, not being able to move, only to have him pull him out of the box and duke him up, put his ass back in the box. All part of training, dude. Training. He did that and he didn't kill that dude. He did all of those things. The SEER school, if you know anything about that, that shit is rough. When you go through SEER training, it's search, evade, escape, rescue, I think. Or I don't remember what it is, but it's basically your ass is gonna get caught, they're gonna fuck you up, and you need to deal with it, not snitch. Basic, that's the layout, that's the cliff notes. This dude did that shit, and no problem. But on one of his operations, he got linked up with the CIA. She was an asset. She was attached to their mission, whatever it was, and they ended up dating. Well, you don't get in the CIA from being dumb. You don't get that job, you don't do those ops by being unable to bend shit to your will. And this woman bent this Marine into a pretzel. She had this dude so wound inside out that he was losing his shit. He had gotten in trouble. He was, as a matter of fact, this is why he was at my house. He and this woman had gotten into a spat. And I believe they may have been in Louisville, Texas. I don't remember where they were living. But they get into a domestic dispute. She calls the police on him. The police come and he barricades himself in the house. He ain't coming out. Well, they call SWAT. They call a SWAT team and they surround this dude's house. And the SWAT, the head of the SWAT dude ended up calling his commanding officer. His CO told him, you know, the SWAT guy told him, hey, we got Derek in here. He's holed himself up. He said he ain't coming out. We found out, you know, you're the chain of command, you're his dude. What do we do? You know what that guy told that guy, the SWAT officer? He told him, you better get your fucking men out of there now. Get him out of there and I'll deal with him. Because that dude could have taken all of those dudes out. That dude's skill set made those dudes look like chumps. But that woman broke him to the point where he's sitting in front of me and he's crying because this is a decorated Marine. Because of a domestic, whatever situation they had, he lost his right to have his arms. They stripped this man of everything and they were trying to punish him for doing whatever. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did, but I know his reaction almost got a lot of people killed. And so, you know, when he told me about all of those things, we sat there and we talked and he cried, which floored me. Like, how do you suffer in a box and do all that shit, but you can't get through this? And then I realized, you know what, man? This dude's got mother problems. His mother broke him. And these women that he's dealing with are surrogates for mommy. Because as he talked more and more, these weren't women that it didn't sound like an intimate relationship. It sounded like he was dating mommy. And so just told him what I thought. And, just say, listen, man, this is this, that, and the other. And we chatted it up, drank a little bit more whiskey, and the tears turned into us wrestling around on the ground and having fun. And it turned into a hell of a night. But that's easy shit. 2 days later, I get a text message. And in this text message, it's a picture of a letter. And so I blow the letter up and I read it. And it was a letter that he wrote to his kids. The day Spencer called him and told him, hey, bro, we need to go to this dude's place. I think it'd be good for you. Derek had made up his mind that he was done. His kids were taken away from him. His respect as a Marine was being attacked. He was being destroyed, and he was done. And so he wrote a letter to his children, and he apologized for all of the things that he had put them through, all of the things that he wasn't going to be able to do for and with them. And he said goodbye to his kids. Even talking about that right now kind of fucks me up. Why? Because Spencer coming out was cool, but that wasn't my friend. It was my wife's coworker, and I was bored. I wasn't trying to be a good dude. My wife thought that would be a good idea, so I did it. I wish I could say I was a stand-up guy and fuck yeah, I'm awesome, but not true at all. But when he piled Derek up on me, I came this close to telling those dudes a lie that day because I had a better option. My buddy had tickets to a fight that was being held in Dallas, and we were gonna be treated like kings at this fight because he knew the promoter. And oh man, it was fucking hard. It was hard. But I'd recently chastised someone for lying to one of our friends because he wanted to go do something else. Instead of just telling him, hey bro, I don't want to do that goofy shit, I'm doing this. He lied, and then dude found out about it, split up. I was told him that's dumb, shouldn't have done that. You committed to something, either you man up and say you don't want to do it, or you suck it up and you do it. So I remembered that beat down I gave my buddy, and so I didn't cancel. I sucked it up, I took the loss, and it ended up being a win because those two men are some of my tightest brothers now. But that meeting with that man, sitting down and listening to that man talk, letting him hurt, and letting him know, I've hurt too, bro. It kept him from starting his 45, dude, and that's huge. It's massive. We're living in a time right now that's trying to destroy men. If you're a strong man with traditional Christian values, if you believe in family, if you believe in your country, if you believe in anything that was once held good, now you're a pariah. Now more than ever, we need men to be fucking men, for real. I hear all the time about the silent majority and things won't go this way because there's people that woo, woo, woo. Where the fuck are they? Where are they? This is getting worse and worse and worse, and we keep going through the same steps, and people, it's not my problem. That's over there, it's not me. Right now, we need to have discipline in what we know is right. Because if we do that as men, if we take care of our physicality, then we can fight. If we take care of our spirituality, we got the strongest sniper on our six in the world. Take care of your professional shit, you don't have to worry about your money. Take care of your personal stuff, and you surround yourself with people who actually respect and care for you. But all of this starts with how you feel about yourself. You've got to look at yourself as someone who is worthy of being respected. You have to see yourself that way. But you can't respect yourself for being a piece of shit. You can't respect yourself for negotiating with your inner bitch. And we all have that. Elliot Hulse is in here. That's a monster dude right there. But Elliot knows just what I'm saying. Whenever you're doing something hard, you got an inner bitch that sits on your shoulder and whispers in your ear, that's enough. You've done enough. And most people break. They hear that little whisper, and it's like, oh, that's the bell. I'm done. Cool. Tap. Muhammad Ali said he didn't count reps until it started to hurt. That inner bitch. So basically, Muhammad Ali didn't count reps until his inner bitch said, whew, I'm tired. I'm tired. Let's stop. That's when it started. That right there is how we should attack the things that are important to us. You don't stop when you're tired. You stop when you're done. That's the way you do things. Whatever it is that you're supposed to do, whatever discipline that you're not doing in your life, the way you feel about that is bullshit. Whatever you tell yourself to keep you from attacking those things is a lie. It's a lie. You don't have time, you don't have it, whatever it is you say, it's a lie. Because if you truly wanted to do a thing, you would take time and you would wring the opportunity out of it. You know that to be true. If nothing else, you'll lie to the one thing so you can go do the thing you want to do. You will find a way to get that thing done. I believe if we don't do something quickly in this country, if the men in this country don't take their rightful place on the throne of their world, we're going to be in big trouble in this country. We're already there. We're already there. There's already boys and girls that are having their private parts chopped off. Where are the men? I know Michael's going through this and he's fighting his ass off. Why is he the only one we hear about? I'm not saying other men aren't doing it, but here's the deal. This is what I'm saying. Why is it just those men's problem? Why should we as men sit back and go, oh, that's his kid, not my problem. Or I don't have kids, not my problem. Already raised my kids, not my problem. It is our problem. It is all of our problems. Because you young men and you dudes that are already old with me now, we're gonna get older. And these kids are gonna be the ones that are making the decisions for us. These kids that are being destroyed right now are gonna be the ones that are taking care of us. Do you want some kid that's been confused about what his ding dong is for taking care of you? What kind of psychological damage are we being allowed to be done to these kids, to our culture? We're allowing this shit because most people are cowards. They don't have the balls to step into the fire and take the shots. What I think is we should all be willing to back up men when they're going through hard shit. Elliot Hulse got attacked by some losers saying things about him that weren't true. I didn't meet him until this weekend. But I promise you with every fiber of my soul, I'd stand beside that man and war against those motherfuckers. Win, lose, or draw. Why? One, because he's right, they're wrong. But I would hope that he would do the same for me. See, that's what men do. Men who have a common thread. You don't have to be the same religion. You don't have to be the same color. You don't have to be the same anything. As long as you have a fundamental base of values, you can lock arms with those men and fight anything. You can go forward and overcome anything. But we've got all these divisions. There's all these different things. Oh, that person's black. He's this, that. Oh, that's a Muslim. I recently saw a video of a Muslim father doing what American fathers should have done. You can tell by the guy's accent he's not from here. But they're trying to ruin his kid, and this dude has the balls. He was charging these people. He wasn't standing back like coward, ooh, with their sign. This son of a bitch was charging like a bull. It's a man. That's a man who believes in his purpose. And he has the discipline to walk that line, not deviate from it because society says it's okay or they say it's normal. He's got fire in his soul because he stands on what he believes. But a lot of people in this country don't believe in shit. A lot of people in this country deify themselves. We're in a very dark place. And men do vaginal shit because it seems cool. It's accepted. Everybody else is doing it. And so if everybody else is partying, running through women, doing all these things, and you go along, you get the result that yields, whose fault is that? Is it their fault because they told you to do it? Nah. Extreme ownership. What we have to do in this space is we have to take the things that we learn and we have to use them. Some of you men speak here, and some of you men are just attendees, but you're all men on the same basic mission. We wouldn't be talking about these things if we weren't fighting the same fight. The number one thing you guys need to do with this information is utilize it. I sat down and talked with a guy who told me about all of his programs. He has every program. He's got everything that he could possibly use. I mean, he's got his diet dialed in. I mean, he's got the things to dial his diet in. He's got it already. It's like a guy that's shadow boxing, but scared to get in the ring. A lot of people do that. A lot of people buy program after program after program. Follow this guy, follow that guy. Ooh, what is it? You don't do shit. You don't do it. You just sit there, oh, I'm about to do some work. But you don't ever throw a fucking punch. You guys have absorbed a whole lot of information here during this summit. A lot of people have shared a lot of information. But it's absolutely worthless if you don't have the discipline to take it home and use it. And I can assure you this, men, if you don't take the things that you learned here, if you don't take them and apply them with tenacity, with discipline, you inevitably are going to suffer regret. That's the way it goes. It's that simple. I got about 2 minutes left. If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to answer. We're good.